I'm so excited because the King Charles's coronation is just around the corner, and all of a sudden it just feels like it. Like you can feel it even here in America. For those of us who are watching from afar, they do say that a lot of Americans could care less, but there are many of us who are interested. We're fascinated by this, and King Charles's coronation is going to be happening on Saturday, super early. I'm Deanna here from Hot for History. I'm going to talk about what I saw today and what the schedule is going to be like, because so many people are asking, and how you can watch it. What happened today with Princess Kate or Princess Catherine, excuse me, and Prince William, and also the tea party that they had. It's all the buzz. Everything's going on right now. There's definitely a vibe in the air. I don't think anybody's thinking about Harry and Meghan at this point. They're really thinking about the coronation, and it's a very exciting time. So welcome, everybody. We're going to talk about it live here on Hot for History. We would love for you guys to contribute anything that you know or don't know, your opinions. We like to highlight your comments. I like to put them on the screen and talk about it from all sides. People who love the royal family, people who think that they should be abolished. We want to talk about all of it, but right now we're really gearing up for the coronation, and we're going to kind of chat about that tonight. We're going to talk about the coronation walkabout, which was so fun today. And also we're going to talk a little bit about the tea party. So welcome from Maryland, welcome from Florida, welcome from Michigan, welcome from the UK. I'm so excited. So here, let's go. Let's talk about what happened today with Kate and Will. They went to Soho. By the way, subscribe if you can, share this with your friends. We'd love to welcome anybody who will have like some really good comments. So they just basically took their walkabout in Soho. They went on to a pub there that looks like they had a blast. They shook hands, they talked to people, and let's talk about it. So let me just get this straight so you guys can see it a little bit bigger. Hello from Texas. Hello from Washington, D.C. Hello from Utah, from Michigan. Welcome, everybody. I'm probably going to be going live tomorrow, too, because I'm super excited. It's just, I usually do historic content, quirky history content, right? But I decided that, hey, this is history in the making, so let's discuss it. There are a lot of younger Brits that feel disenfranchised by the monarchy. Do you think Will would have bridged the gap better than the C3? I think William will be doing. Yes, I do think that. I think there's like such a huge debate right now over whether will this be the last coronation? And I think it'll be around for a while. I mean, there's a lot of pushback now, and I do think things are really vulnerable. There's the "Hey, not my king," campaign, and there's a lot. But I do think that I do think that William and Kate will kind of bring it together. So many people have wanted them to just go right into it, but King Charles has waited a long time. So Prince and Princess of Wales hit the pub. What a perfect thing to do. Like, they go into Soho. If you remember, Meghan and Harry were, they're all about Soho House and all of that. But I don't think anybody's thinking about them, honestly, because there's such a vibe and excitement in London right now. So they posed for selfies, had a pint, joked around. By the way, the pints in London, they're so big. They're just huge. And they are looking forward to downing cocktails after Charles's coronation, which was kind of a funny line. Will is next, not soon enough. I know. I'm picking up on some of these comments. Let me read a little bit of this, and then I will highlight what you guys have to say about this. If you have anything to say about this, but we're going to talk about the walkabout. We're going to talk about the schedule for the coronation, bright and early. We're going to talk about the tea party with Lionel Richie. He was so gracious. It was so fun to watch the interview. So it says on Saturday, Kate and Will are going to be traveling with horse and carriage, but today they took the subway. Now, I remember Harry talking about the fact, he's like, I've never even taken the subway. The subway in London is so easy to get around. It's clean. It's great. So they took the underground to work today. William and Kate traveled naturally on the Elizabeth line from Acton Main Line Station to Tottenham Court Road to the nearest stop to Soho, where they stopped to pull pints and chat to hospitality staff at the Dog and Duck pub. During their tour of the premises, William poured the first pint of Kingmaker, a pale ale brewed to celebrate the coronation. And although the waitresses was complimenting him on how he poured it, he's like, nah, not really done very well, even though the manager was like, great job. He's like, I don't know how to do this. He goes, I know how to drink it. I love a good cocktail. I'm going to wait till after the coronation to celebrate. But I do like a pint. I just don't know how to pour it. That's basically how he's saying. You know, I think Kate knows how to pour it because Kate had her own drinking club in college. I don't know if you guys knew that, but I think that was really fun. Yes, I do have, Nikisha, I have a video about Charlotte, about Queen Charlotte. I'm so excited about Shonda Rhimes's series, and I'm really excited about it. So yeah, and I think that we should you know, research it a little bit more. But the Shonda Rhimes Charlotte series, which is coming out now, basically looks amazing. I haven't watched it yet, but it's going to be great. And yes, I know all about that, and it's very exciting. And yeah, so all right, so it then basically the royal mother of three. So they did a walkabout, and there were actually a lot of information gathering during that time. So Kate basically said, by the way, her coat was so beautiful. The Eponine coat was, she's worn it before. She admitted the family were still getting all of the ducks in a row before the big event. She also revealed that her 3 children were deeply immersed in the preparation. She said that her kids are having coronation celebrations at school today. She praised the atmosphere in the area as wonderful and exciting, and the partying has already begun in London. And the royal added that the eldest child, Prince George, was excited about the upcoming celebrations and had been taking part in rehearsals. She explained that George was a page of honor during the service of Westminster Abbey and asked if he was looking forward to it. And she says he's less nervous now because he's had more rehearsals. Prince William appeared relaxed as he chatted. So they just seem like they're having fun. The couple boarded the train, took another train back. Okay. So basically, you know, they made a walkabout today. I'm sure there's things going on all around town. I had to put this picture up because Brittany here is another YouTuber who does royal content. She's in London right now, and she ended up getting a picture. And I don't even know if she's seen this one because this was while she was taking her own selfie with the Princess of Wales, which is very awesome. So let's talk a little bit about the schedule. Let me look at your comments first, and then we'll talk about the schedule and how we can watch it. Hello from Long Island. I know. Oh, I wish I was there too. I definitely have a little bit of FOMO after today because it just feels like so much fun. You know, I don't know. It just feels like a holiday. It feels like a blast. And so I do also have a little bit of that FOMO. I was originally thinking I was going to be there. Okay, so Kate is wearing a flower crown for the coronation because Camilla's family doesn't own any. I didn't know about that. We'll see. You know, there's so many options as far as the crowns, and Camilla will be wearing, you know, she'll be wearing Queen Mary's crown without the Koh-i-Noor diamond. Okay, let's look at the schedule here. By the way, if we want to watch it, we got to watch it like a lot of the networks will have it. It's just that it's so early. Eastern Standard Time in America will be 5 a.m. It'll probably be done by 8 or 9. You know, if you want to see them on the balcony, maybe 10. So it's fast. Well, I mean, it's early. It's really early for us. So many of us may be watching it after the fact. I'm going to get up and I'm going to watch. So let's talk about the schedule for this. Okay. Selfies, thought there was no, well, I think they're allowed for other people to be taking picture with them, but I don't think that they take their own. But I do remember hearing that too. Oh no selfies. But I think that's for them taking their own pictures, or unless it's just changed. But I do remember hearing that too, Raymond. But I don't know. All right, so coronation. 6 a.m. viewing. That would be 1 a. It's 5 hours difference. as far as time currently. So that would be like 1 a.m. Eastern time. The coronation viewing areas open up along the main procession route. 7:15, Westminster Abbey guests will begin arriving at security checkpoints in Victoria Tower Gardens. 9 a.m., the congregation will be seated inside Westminster Abbey. And then 9:30, okay, so like at 4:30 a.m. Eastern time, coronation guests start to come in and the heads of state. 9:45, the sovereign escort of the household cavalry will prepare to assemble the king's procession. So the king and queen travel from Buckingham Palace to Westminster Abbey in the Diamond Jubilee State coach at our time, 5:20 a.m. 11 a.m., 6 a.m. our time, the main event, the coronation, takes place in line with a tradition dating back centuries. King Charles III's coronation ceremony. There's so much scandal behind this on almost every item that they're using, by the way. I should do a video strictly on the seat of the scone. It looks like scone, but they pronounce it scone. It's Scottish. Whole story behind that. And the Scottish are not happy with that. The Welsh are not happy with, like, well, many. I mean, some are fine, but like with, you know, just having a prince and princess of Wales without it being necessarily a Welsh king. I mean, there's all this stuff. So many items have been pilfered through the history, like even the Cullinan diamond, which they replaced for the Kohinoor diamond, which was definitely taken from India under questionable circumstances. There's just so much. They're wearing ermine capes, and I know that they're having vegan anointing oil, but I mean, if you study ermine, you know, and they're talking about being like cruelty free and all that. I mean, there's just so much stuff that is like going over so many people's heads. But so just to bring it up, there's definitely a movement like against the monarchy for many of these kinds of reasons. There's a lot of things that are so archaic and so backwards, but it's also part of the culture of England, and they're having a blast, and there is some excitement about it at the same time. So it's just this sort of twisted, complex thing. Okay, the main event, the coronation, takes place at 11, in line with tradition dating back centuries. King Charles III's coronation, this is where we're getting into some of the old stuff, will be held at Westminster Abbey. The ceremony begins once the royals have completed their arrival procession at Buckingham Palace. Prior to Charles being crowned, a number of ceremonial acts will be performed. Another controversy is them asking people to make an allegiance to the king. Some people are like, no. Hello, Stephen. Yeah, no, I understand what you were saying, Raymond. I totally get it. I took it in kind with what you were, with how you're saying it. So let's talk a little bit about the ceremony. So basically, for those of you who have been asking, if you want to watch 5 a.m. Eastern time, you could watch on YouTube, on Sky News, you could watch on BBC, I think ABC. I think a lot of the next networks are covering it. It's just that it's so early. So I don't know what the American viewing will be like. Many people will be watching it after the fact, right? But I know with Queen Elizabeth's, coronation, which was back in 1953 when there weren't as many cameras, it was millions and millions of people watching. So now that we have, people with small channels, big networks, small networks being able to, produce this, it's going to be widely documented. So let's talk about this. So the Archbishop of Canterbury calls for the recognition of the monarch, stating, "Sirs, I here present unto you King Charles, your undoubted king. Wherefore all you who are come this day to do your homage and service, are you willing to do the same?" So here's the thing. They ask for them to make, it's common for them to do this, to make an homage, an allegiance to the king. Again, some people are like, well, that's just part of the thing. Other people are like, oh, I'm not going to be, no, I'm not. So the congregation's expected to proclaim God save the king. Following this, Charles is expected to take an oath whereby he will swear to govern all his nations and territories appropriately per their laws and custom to execute law and justice with mercy and to maintain the Protestant Reformed religion and the Church of England. He is the head of England now. Like once he goes through that. So that's also very controversial because apparently as the head of England, he wasn't even supposed to get married to, his divorced wife. So again, all this really, behind the scenes stuff. So it is anticipated that he will subsequently kiss the special gold leaf Bible used for the ceremony before signing the oath. Charles would then be anointed. By the way, I'm sorry, I just sped through that. Signing the oath. Don't forget, the man has to pick up another pen. Do you guys remember when he had the pen and he like freaked out because the ink was all over his hands? I don't know if we know, Stephen, what time Harry is coming into the country, but he should be there. Do you think there will be a surprise showing of one of his kids? That would be something that I think we would all be very excited about. But I don't think so. That would be fun. But I doubt it. I would guess he would arrive when everybody's arriving. I don't think there's any record of him doing anything like going to the concert or anything like that, which by the way, before I end this broadcast tonight, I'm definitely going to talk about Lionel Richie and his girlfriend because, well, I'll tell you in a minute, but yeah, it was sweet. Blessings to the royal family, 4 a.m. Central. I know. If there's a way for us to sit here and chat, I don't want to interrupt the broadcast and I can't really simulcast it. I don't think fully here. So we're going to have to probably double up and talk about it after the fact. The true blue blood DEANNA. I know I'm still working on a video that I'll probably release tomorrow because my heart regarding DEANNA, I'm really empathetic. I have a really deep empathetic thing about me and I can't stop thinking about her. I just cannot. There's something that I can't shake. And I've done a few shorts and I've listened to what people are saying about her. And they all kind of have that same vibe. Like we miss her. Like we can't, it's almost like unveiling her. Like she's kind of, I don't know. It's intense. I want to get a view of the stone under the seat. Yes. And that has an amazing story. It's called the seat of the scone, even though it sounds like a scone. Because apparently some people like stole it and brought it back to Scotland. And then this guy who was like a stonemason had it and brought it back. But the secret that the Scots believe is that when they brought it back to Queen Elizabeth for the last coronation, they actually maintained and hung on to the original one. But nobody really knows the full story of where the original one came from anyhow. So for those of you who don't know, under King Edward's throne, there's this like stone. It looks like a little, I don't know, like flat bench, but it's heavy and it kind of is situated in a cemetery when it's not here. Apparently it was at one time. But it's supposed to go underneath the King Edward's throne that all kings sit on. Now, in Scotland, they're like, hey, don't be like using our stuff. Like, we don't know if we agree with this. And so at one point, some kids took it back and stole it. And then they got it back. And one guy was supposed to work on it. But the secret is that the stone isn't really the original stone anyhow, because the Scots did not want to give it back and somebody refused to. But anyhow, there's all this drama. This is why we like watching it. For those of you who get upset with me when you're like, why are we talking about this? Let's talk about like real history. It is real history. It all comes up. And yes, it's gossip too. And we're from all over the place, all over the place. We do talk about the Moorish connection with Meghan. But we also talk about the craziness with them, but the craziness of the royal family. I think most of us here are fans of the royal family, but that doesn't mean that we don't speak it out. It's like a soap opera. That's how I see it. I bet that Wallace Simpson is smiling down on Queen Camilla. I bet she is. Stephen, I would love to write a story like this. They call it alternate history. There's like a whole line of stuff. I would love to do something like that, because the video I'm doing for tomorrow, it just brings questions up. Like, what would it have looked like if Diana had become queen? What if they never got divorced? What if they worked on their relationship and Camilla was like out of the picture, and the boys, like grew up with their mom, and the story of their dad and mom making it work, even though maybe they weren't perfectly compatible in the beginning. Like, what would that have looked like? And I know that that's a romantic idea since they got a divorce and everything, but think in marriages, sometimes those opposites do help to refine the mate, right? The partner. And then together over time, it's like a fine wine. Even though they've had that intensity, they turn into this fine wine. What would it have looked like if Diana had become queen? And we'll never know. And that's that part that kind of is like, oh, kind of gets to me. I think it would sell to movie production company. Yeah, I do too. So let me finish reading this and we'll talk about the tea party. So then he's going to have his coronation with the St. Edward crown. He's going to wear 2 crowns. The St. Edward crown is extremely heavy and he can only wear it for like 20 minutes before he feels like his head's going to pop off. Afterwards, he will be escorted to the throne to symbolically take, and by the way, even walking with the capes, with the gown, he has to have people carrying it because it's way too heavy. And I watched him walk at the tea party. He was leaning on his umbrella. So he's not necessarily sure-footed as he should be in his 70s, just saying. I'm not saying that he's super wobbly, but he's got a heavy, he's not like a 25-year-old or even a 40-year-old walking with that crown and the thing. I mean, he's going to have to really work it. So after the coronation, there will be a brief ceremony. So Camilla will have her ceremony. She has her own crowning. And then after homage has been paid to the king, that's when that happens. At 1:00, the coronation procession. Every time I think of a procession, I think of going into the church, but no, they're talking about going out of the church. And that begins when the royals return from Westminster Abbey to Buckingham Palace. So the procession is proceeding to Buckingham Palace with almost 4,000 military personnel expected to be involved. So it's like a major parade. Music, bands, like marching, like the uniforms, horses, like the most regal, beautiful horses you've ever seen. At 1:45, the royal salute will see the king and queen be saluted on the west terrace of Buckingham Palace's garden, after which the military personnel present will get 3 cheers. And then at 2:15, 15 members of the royal family will gather on the balcony. Now, I think it's interesting. This is a Daily Mail article. When they say 15 members of the royal family, when they were always said, well, Harry and Meghan couldn't get on there because they're not senior royals, but they're talking about the royal family. So I'm a little bit confused. I know that it's supposed to be a state event and they're supposed to be officials. So, but there's going to be a flyover. Let me look at the notes first. Okay, wait. Let me see. Didn't you put a short on Edward putting off coronation? Yes. So Edward, King Edward VII was sick, and his doctors were like, sorry, you're going to have to wait. And they postponed his coronation for a year because of his weight and because of his overall health. I love history, love Diana, but I have a different view on Camilla. To me, it's a love story. So sad that Charles and Camilla weren't allowed to marry. And that's we talk about all of this. I've said this before, that you can look at the love story too, that they were in love and then they never got to be together and they were very compatible. And then eventually they found their way. So this could be a huge celebration of them coming together, and now they're king and queen. That is another story. And it's the story that we're seeing play out, even though so many of us, because Diana was so dynamic, are like, oh, it could have been this way. But the truth is, Les, you're right. Like, that is another thing. That is absolutely true. Okay, let's look at this. Catherine, it's hard to get excited about gross displays of wealth when the UK is suffering from severe hyperinflation. The world is dealing with that. Yeah. And I think they said at first I heard them say it was $100 million to put this on. And then later I heard it was more like 200 million. I'm sorry, did I say 100,000? 100 million and then 200 million. So I don't know. And it is, that's what the Republicans, meaning the people who want a republic and a president in the UK rather than a monarchy, are saying. They're saying that why is all of this money, like he got $100 million or whatever, when the queen died, and didn't even have to pay the inheritance tax. They say he does voluntarily pay his income tax, but yeah. So you make a good point. The stone of Scone, I always have to correct, is also called Jacob's pillow. I know that story. Yeah, so I'll have to research that a little bit, Karen, because that's fascinating. I have heard that before. I forgot about that. I wonder if how Harry and William, William would have turned out if Charles and Diana had stuck it out. Yeah, I mean, siblings deal with grief and divorce in different ways, right? So what we see are William and Harry just, Harry is more, let's say, externally emotional than Will. I wonder too, I mean, there was one person, again, this is one of these alternative, kind of like an alternate history question. One person said they didn't think that at least they thought that Harry probably would have, I don't know how to say this because I don't, that he would have been less, like his grief, the way that he's expressing his grief now is so intense and so much more. It seems like it's so impactful that what would Harry have been like? What would William have been like? We don't see it as much with William because he's more, let's say, restrained and composed. We don't see what's really going on in there, right? So I don't know. The Harry and Meghan will always be senior royals. They're just not working as senior royals. I don't know how that works. So I'm not sure. Sort of a common love story. Past loves in high school that around retirement after one spouse dies. Yeah, I've heard those stories too. It's kind of like that. It is. So again, I think it was Les that mentioned it. It's worth noting. I mean, and it is, I think her son said that. Her son was like, whatever anybody thinks, there was no end game to Camilla. It's not like she was sitting around thinking this is what we're going to be doing. It just kind of happened right afterwards. So many of us are like, oh yeah, they planned this, because I heard from many people, these are what I've heard, that Camilla actually picked Diana when they knew that they had to get married, blah, blah, blah. That they were seeing each other all along, that there was never any pause in it. So we don't really know. Again, it's like all of these different narratives, and that's what it is. So I want to talk about the tea party, and then I want to show you. I mean, I can hardly contain my enthusiasm about Lionel Richie's girlfriend's dress. That's why I'm excited. Okay, I was going to wait to tell you that, but now I'm just too excited because I'm going to show you pictures of her because the dress was, okay. So I'll show you in a second. So everybody was talking about how, oh my gosh, who's going to perform at the concert? There's a concert at Windsor the next day. They're allowing 20,000 people in that got tickets in the next day starting at 3 p.m. So it was like a lottery thing if you got the ticket, and then there was a mess up. It was so messed up. And everybody's like, nobody's going to perform, but we have Katy Perry, Lionel Richie, and some other people. Honestly, I think it's appropriate because I feel like Lionel Richie, even though for some people it's like, oh, he's so old school, he's got that song all night long, all night. Like you can't stop singing that song. Like he's got some really great party tunes that are going to be perfect. And he's on in a charity with Charles. So he has a long relationship and he's so positive. He's like, this is an honor. I'm excited to be here. How fun. This is, I got to perform for 1 billion people at I don't know if it was the 1980 Olympics. Now I'm doing this. Okay. So it says he entertained 1 billion people worldwide in 1984, and he has had more than 40 hit singles. He has. He's very famous. But singer Lionel Richie says playing at the King's coronation concert this weekend will be the best thing ever. The 73-year-old Hello star, who was accompanied by his glamorous model girlfriend, Lisa Parigi, 40 years his junior, met the monarch and queen concert at a special coronation garden party. Okay, I have more to read about it, but I really want to show you guys the dress. She was so, that dress that she wears. Okay, is it this next picture? Okay, wait, you'll get to it. This is Camilla is wearing a Bruce Oldfield dress. I made a short, I think it was yesterday, about that. Was a designer from Diana as well. This is the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, Sophie and Edward. So, you know, his sister-in-law and brother. Here we go. Okay, there's some better pictures even of this, but this is his girlfriend. The dress, look at the heels. Like, she's wearing the princess heels that are like, you know, so tall. I did events for years because I had a big band in New York, very high-end events. Every time I would wear heels like that in grass, the heels would go, ooh. And so you were always frustrated because you'd have to redo your heels. But there they go in a garden party with your high heels. So they had this garden party and he is so excited. He says this is going to be so much fun. He did get to have a special meet and greet. If you get a chance to go to the Daily Mail article on this, it's so fun to see Lionel Richie's, let's say, his posture and his poise. He was really excited. He says, in my career, there are Oscars and then there are Grammys and then there's a coronation. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? He says, this doesn't happen every day. So am I excited about this? Absolutely. This is going to be the best thing ever. He says, Windsor Castle as a backdrop. Come on, let's be serious. There's no other example of something like this. And this is the type of perspective to have. You know, it's just, you know, he says, he was told that there were 1,000 years of history behind him. And he says, listen, don't even say that. Now you've got me scared. And then King Charles and Queen Camilla welcomed thousands of royal fans to Buckingham Palace this afternoon for their first garden party since he became monarch. And then the weather was like perfect, except Lionel Richie said that in the shade, it's a little too cool. But King Charles and Queen Camilla welcomed them all. The royal couple invited guests to the grounds. And so that's it. I'm going to show you guys. See, here we go. This is Lisa's dress. Okay, can we talk about this? Look at her. I love that dress so much. I cannot, and I do hope he sings hello. I agree. Lionel Richie is old like the king. He is, but he's got party songs that everybody knows. So it's kind of more like mainstream. Yes, it's sort of like not having, like, Adele would have been great. And the Spice Girls have always performed for the king. They're sort of like, you know, but there were many people that I guess said no, or they were busy. Do I think, okay, so I did this video about Bruce Oldfield. I don't think Camilla copies Diana's fashion because they may have the same designers, but I don't know if it really matters at this point because Diana's body would have been very different at this, you know, when she would have been 61, 62 right now, much younger than Camilla, but still, you know, she would have had different clothes, right? So I don't know. I don't really think that Camilla's copying her fashion because I think Diana's fashion would have been much different. We don't have unfortunately, we don't get to know what Diana would have even looked like at this point. She would have, I think, been beautiful, but, you know, as we get older, postmenopausal women start to, you know, have more around the middle. Like, her clothes may have been more conservative, more, let's see, matronly. I don't know. So I don't really think she copies her. I do think that, you know, based on an old conversation she had where she was like, what do you want? You have everything. And Diana was like, I want my husband. I want my husband. So I do think there was something there, like a jealousy thing, but I don't know. Okay, so here's Edward, here's Sophie, and the king. Honestly, he looks like he's having a ball. He looks like he's having so much fun, but look at his hands. I'm sorry. Every time he's outside, can you see how wait, let me see if I can expand that a little bit. I don't know if you guys can see this. Does it make his hands look bigger? Because I'm expanding it on the other page. No. Oh yeah. I'm so concerned because he has to put the rings on. It has to be some type of sign of some type of health issue. His hands swell up. He loves to have a pint and a cocktail. Don't blame him. But like, what the heck is going on? But apparently that's what happens when he's out. His hands just get like, even now, like, I'm sorry, maybe I'm a little too, but I don't know. I mean, Edward's hands don't look red in a similar light, and his face doesn't look as red. I'm just saying that his hands, I'm concerned about his hands. But he is getting older. Okay, so and let's look at some of the other clothes. Now here he is meeting some police men and women. And then look at how this is Doreen Lawrence. Look at her outfit. She looks amazing. I love what she's wearing. I definitely have a little bit of FOMO, and I love this dress on the right here. They all look great. I've never put one of those fascinators on in my life. I would love to do that. But, you know, where am I? Unless I'm going to the Kentucky Derby, I don't really have a reason to put it on. Okay, so do we have any other questions? Yeah, there was an article in the mail about that edema heart. I know. I am worried about his hands, Stephen, because I did one about sausage fingers. Because, you know, he has to hold another pen. He has to put a ring on his finger. And I made a kind of like a joke, like a video joke about the fact that Queen Victoria, she was just 19 years old, and they shoved the coronation ring on the wrong finger. Like they were supposed to put it here and they put it here. She was just a little thing. And she cried. She cried at the coronation, and then they couldn't get it on. They used all this butter, and eventually they had to cut it off. And she goes, I don't even want to wear it. I don't even want to wear it. Put it somewhere else. So now he has these fingers. This is a good point. I think he should have invited the entire family. Meghan, Harry, all the kids, Doria, Thomas Markle, Samantha Markle. They should have all been invited. Why not? Why not? I think they all should have been invited. Okay, so to review, there's walkabouts, there's parties, there's fun, there's a tea party, and the schedule, because I know Stephen especially had wanted to know the other night, 5 a.m. for arrivals, let's say. 6 a.m. Now, Central Time, obviously, you got to move it back. If you're on East Coast time, I don't know, sleep in and watch a repeat, because I get so cranky when I don't get enough sleep. And yes, Charles did wait a long time for this, and he deserves it. I do think with him that he's already having a blast. I think that I have a feeling like maybe he'll be slightly nervous, but I don't think so. I think it's just, there's this vibe of like, let's have fun. Let's have a party. I think they've addressed everything, like, okay, keep the protesters away, all of that. So I think it's just going to be one of those, hey, let's just have fun. Let's go to the concert. As far as Harry, I don't know if we'll see him much. I don't think people at this point, I know all of the, broadcasters will be talking about him, but I don't think, it would have been nice, in my opinion, for Harry and Meghan and the kids to have been there. That's what I would have liked. There's a lot of people in the UK that's like, I'm not even happy that Harry's coming. So, we're all over the place. I would have liked it because I thought it would be like, kind of like an olive branch. Hey, let's start, the re-entry into just, I don't know, connecting again. I wonder if TV will ignore Harry. I don't know. I don't think so. I think they're going to try to catch him. But I do think that might be why they put him a little bit further back in the sanctuary, because it'd be harder for the cameras to find him. But I think the cameras are going to, like, if the cameras are going to want to find him, but I don't know if inside the sanctuary, if like that's all under the control of the royal family. Like, this is the angles that we want. This is where we want you to take it. and then they basically allow the simulcast out, or if they're whose cameras they allow in there. I don't know. It's something I haven't really looked into. Oh, okay, that's a good idea. Watch it on the Canadian channel. Okay, guys, so I'm going to come on tomorrow night, probably it's Cinco de Mayo, I think, or is that today? I had a taco party today in my little new complex that I'm living in. But I'm excited. After I watched Kate and Harry and then the tea party thing today, I had this feeling like, because I love London and I wish I was there. I just had to move. I'm going to be going up, by the way, to my old house. So many of you are fans of that content when I talk about the old house that I bought, which is my great grandparents' home. We're going to be doing a whole thing on that this summer. But I was just excited because the vibe felt really celebratory. It felt light, felt very unlike what the press has been bringing, pulling it up to at this point, which has been a lot of negativity, I think. And so it just felt a little right. So I got excited tonight, very excited after watching Kate and Will in their walkabout, because they looked so relaxed and joyful. And I hope that that's going to be the vibe. So anyhow, guys, thank you so much for watching. Okay, wait, Beverly, I would like to know if Perry's getting any money from either reporters or the king. That's what I'd like to. Are you talking about Tyler Perry, or am I missing something? I'm probably missing. This is probably going over my head. Getting any money from either reporters or the king. That's what I'd like to know. I don't know, Beverly. I'll try to figure out what you're saying, and we'll address it like next time. Okay, guys, I will talk to you later. Have a great night, and let's keep our eyes on all of this, and we will talk about it mañana. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much for your support.